fumbling our way through this, but now it's going to go smoothly.
Yes.
So you think. And Hanshan said, who can escape the tangles of this world and sit with us in the Zoom dough? No, wait, he didn't say that. I said that. Okay, so the scroll behind me says Ichion no Butsu, which means one sound become Buddha, or enlightenment in a single sound. And this doesn't have to be on the Shakahachi. This could be us vocalizing. So today, the hope is that if you hit the perfect note today, you're going to reach enlightenment. So I'll provide the tune, and it's up to you to do the rest. So the question today is, has anyone here ever chanted the 4 vows? Okay, I have some people. Good, this is great. I'm going to show you one way of doing it. There's so many ways of doing the 4 vows, and I stumbled on this Shakuhachi piece which had the 4 vows written in on the side. So I've been interested in looking into this, but I'd also want to present an interactive talk on Shomyo chanting, which is basically Buddhist sutras with a melody. I'm going to briefly discuss the origins of the Buddhist chanting and how the Shakahachi was used to imitate the vocal chants. I'll then teach our Sangha how to read Shakahachi music, and then finally to chant the Shakahachi piece called Seigan Mun, which are the 4 Buddhist vows that we usually end our service with. So Shomyo is a kind of music that adds melodic patterns to chanted words, which are Buddhist words in Sanskrit. It uses Bongo, which is using Chinese characters to phonetically transcribe Sanskrit words. It originated in India, then to China, finally to Japan in the 6th century, along with Buddhism. So as far back as the year 752, there is a record of Shakahachi being used along with the Buddhist chanting for ceremonial events. This particular event in 752 was the opening of the eye ceremony in Todaiji, the temple in Nara that houses the Big Buddha. The opening of the eye ceremony was the final step to complete the Big Buddha after its casting and placement at Todaiji. There's also some early anecdotal evidence from diaries, recorded stories, and myth that confirm that the Shakuhachi was sometimes used to imitate the sounds of the monks chanting. So at this time, if you could share the screen, Monica, and the third one down. Let's see. That's going to be the last one. Right there. Right. Up 1, down 1, down 2, right there. Okay, this is called Japanese Buddhist Shomo notation. This particular piece is called Shiichi Bongo, or the Song of the 4 Wisdoms. Now, Shiichi Bongo is a Shomyo chant written in Sanskrit characters. The chant praises the meritorious qualities of the Buddha and awakens the Dharma Dhatu, bringing the rays of pure light over all who hear it. So this comes from an album that I have that I got from one of my 3 secondary teachers in America, Michael Shikusen Gould, and he shared this at a class with us. So I'm going to share a little vocal play a little CD in the background. And if you look on this, on the right-hand side, it has the words Om, Ban, Za, Ra, Sa, To. And so you're going to hear this chant being really stretched out. And then these are phonetic Chinese characters. And to the left of those characters shows you how the monk is singing this. And the monk here is Sebastian Gershon Sear, and he's from Montreal. And you'll kind of follow his words, but to the, like I say, to the left of it is how graphically how he's singing. And you'll maybe see by there's the word za and ra. And to the left of that, you see something like a corkscrew, and you'll hear him singing that. So I'm going to play that right now, and we can sort of follow along, but you're going to get a better picture than I can by hearing him than I could possibly talk about. So, Shiichi Bongo. So this goes on for another 10 minutes, but you get an idea of that this is pretty complex, and it would take us months to learn probably the first couple of lines. So I'm going to skip down to the next, scroll down. Yeah, here's a simpler version of the Sanskrit sounds and the Chinese and Japanese characters that showing you what to phonetically what you're saying, and then to the left of the character. So you see myo, bi, ru, sha, na, bu. And to the left of those characters shows you graphically what you're supposed to be doing with your voice. So this is the basics of Shomyo chanting. Go down to the next scroll. And this is another way of doing it. I've seen this also, konji, ki, ne, and it's singing with sound shaping. So there are several different ways that it's done, and I'm going to present a much simpler way for us to learn today. Now, if you listen to what he just sang, it's really not a lot different than Gregorian chant, but it's stretched out a lot. And when we chant, usually when we chant like the Heart Sutra or things, there's no change in pitch. There are other chants that are done, and when we do our service live, we sometimes every other week we do the song of the jewel mirror awareness. Well, I've never heard it done as a song. Monica tells me our friend in Minnesota, Ben Conley, has done this. And so it seems to me that the Minnesota people are way ahead of us in terms of chanting. But there's the Song of the Grass Hut by Shirzu, and other things they say song, but we don't really do them. On Wednesday nights, we do the three refuges in Pali, And Susan sings it so beautifully. What I like about that is it has a simple melody and it changes in every one of the verse, and then we sing it in Pali. So it's not just chanting in English, and it makes it so much more personal to me. Now, the shakuhachi was then used by the Komuso monks to imitate the vocal sounds. We don't know how they were used, either as an accompaniment to the chant or in lieu of the chanting. And as you heard in Shiichi Bongo there, they alternated. The chanting was done by Sebastian, and then Michael came in and played the shakuhachi part. And at the beginning of the piece, he kind of imitates the chanting with his shakuhachi, but then he varies it and he changes it a little, and by the end, he's off into something completely different. So the shakuhachi subtly expresses the differences between the shakuhachi and shiomo, demonstrating the divergence of the shakuhachi's own musical development. So that's another way that it's been done. When I stumbled on these few shakuhachi pieces that included characters for chanting, I was struck like, how is this done? And so I've been asking some of the American master shakuhachi players, how should we do this? And I don't have a definitive answer. So the answer I came up with is we can do it any way we want. So these characters are for chanting. As we read the piece, we can chant along, or we can follow the one who is chanting, or just ourselves chanting inside while we're playing it, or even being it while we're playing it. So let's move on to how the shakuhachi music looks like. Let's go to the top of the page. So this is the standard way that shakuhachi music is written. I'm going to play this first line. So you read from, you see at the top, it says line 1, and then you read line 2, you go to the left, line 3, 4, and then 5. If you're following at the very top of the line, of line 1, you see a whole lot of different things. And the notation shows the Dharma gates, and then the little Z means low octave. With the shakuhachi, you don't know what octave to play in because there's only 4 holes on the front and 1 on the back, and we're playing 2.5 octaves. So here's the low octave, this one. And if I played it higher, so it has to tell you that little Z means otsu, or low octave. And then there's 2 notes. One says su and the next one says re, and they're connected to. So su is a little grace note going up to re. Now let's go down to the next page, and I want to show you something before we go too much further. The 5 basic notes on the shakuhachi, going from left to right, are ro, su, re, chi, and ha. And so ro is with all the fingers closed. Then su has 1 finger open. Re has 2 fingers open. Chi has 3 fingers open. And ha has 1 and 2 closed and 5 closed. So this is the basic minor pentatonic scale for you music majors. It omits the 2nd and the 6th and flats the 3rd. So I won't get into that too much. But these are the characters, ro, su, re, chi. So let's go back to the first sheet here at the top. So we see that we have su and re. So it sounds like this. Su, re. And then that little arrow pointing to the right means repeat. Now, we never tongue with the shakuhachi, so you repeat, and it tells you what the little 3 dashes mean, repeat using the 3rd finger. So it goes like this. Then there's a little wavy line, and that's called the Nyashi, and that's where it's a little head bob. So it so putting the whole thing together, I'm playing Su-Rei, repeat, and the Nyashi. And so you follow the line graphically, and then there's a little horizontal line, and that's your first breath. Now this piece has 17 of these breath marks until you all the way to line 5 at the very bottom has 4 breath marks. That means end of the piece. So this 17 breaths are your full breath. So if I'm a beginner and my breath is about 4 seconds long, then this piece is 4 times 17 breaths, or about a minute. But a master might hold his breath and keep this going for 30 seconds, and it'd be like an 8-minute piece. So you start with full volume and taper it, and about halfway you do the repeat, and then keep tapering it so that first breath sounds like this. And then the silence between the notes, the ma, and then the next note comes and it tells you to pop the 4th finger, and this note is called u, so it's like this. So again, about halfway through your breath, you do a repeat with your finger, and this little fish hook at the end means just as you're running out of breath, bring your neck down and flatten the note. There are no sharps in the Shakahachi music. You can flatten it by your finger or by your neck, but this says flatten it just as you're running out of breath. If you flatten it before you're running out of breath, it's too soon. If you can't hear it because you've run out of breath, it's too late. So that's a little Zen koan for how to play that note. Now, then there's the breath mark, and then look again. It's just like the first breath. Su-Rei again. And then the repeat Nyashi. So I'm going to play the first, and then the last one is the ha, and then repeat Nyashi, and repeat again. So I'm going to play this whole first line. So if there's any questions now, I'll entertain them, or we'll keep going ahead. Bill.
Bob, on that first line you did right at the end where there's the ha.
Yes.
What's the little mark just above the ha, off to the right of the?
Oh, that means play it straight. Like on the second breath, that u has a marking that says pop number 4. This one says if it wanted you to pop it, it would say pop your 5th finger, which is your thumb. But this saying play it straight. So if it didn't have that, you would likely play like a little grace note, a little pop. But this one says no popping, just play it straight. Thank you for asking. Good.
There's a point that, interesting, because what you're saying is play it straight. That's the Chinese character for no, don't do anything.
Yeah.
And the one up on u is the number for 4.
Right. Good.
So it's actually written, those are Chinese characters that are telling you what to do.
Right. So what I'm showing you on this one. This piece is called Shoshi. This is typically the first piece that is taught to beginning Shakahachi student. And in one temple in Japan, they say when you're ready to, when you perfect this piece, then you're ready for your second piece. Well, since we all know you can never perfect anything, that temple never moves to a second piece. Those people play their whole life this one piece. And I've played this thousands of times, and I always find something new in it because I keep changing. My playing changes, and it's very interesting. So then I move on to line 2, and there's the ha again. No popping, and then repeat and a re. So it goes. And then the next one is ha ro. So now ro is in the upper octave. And su re now in upper octave. And that little pop at the end, that I don't know what that looks like, but it's just saying slide your first finger over, right over the hole. And then it gets into some very interesting, these little, this chi has the 4, it wants you to pop the 4, but then it's saying marry it. The little dagger or X means here's regular chi, and this one goes down. And all I'm doing is half holding, half covering the hole, so it goes like this. And then there's the su, just like the very first one in the piece, and it's saying pop number 2, and then go to the top of 3, and it's repeat, and then this big, you flatten the note, and then you come all the way back up, and then repeat and nayashi. And then there's several things repeating, like the ha ro, just like in line 2, and then it repeats again, and then su re. So anyhow, I don't want to go through all of this, but this is how Shakahachi music is written. And there's only, like I say, 5 holes on the flute. So we flatten them, and we use our neck, we use our, to lower the pitch, we use our fingers to cover the holes. And over, this way I could cover all the quarter tones, eighth tones, and over 2.5 octaves of the Shakahachi, I can get 83 notes. So that gives you a feeling for Shakahachi music in general. So when I teach this to my students, I say, first listen to the piece. Like we have a recording of this by our Grand Master. Listen to it. Then read along with this music as has all the detailed instructions so you can see what he's doing. Then third is what we're going to do next, which is sing it. So I sing it before I even play it on the Shakahachi. Instead of going right to the playing like, I would sing the notes. Su, re, repeat. Ooh, repeat. Su, re, repeat. And that's like we would sing do, re, mi in Western notation. Then finally, after you have listened to it, have understood what the piece is about, have sung it, then finally you could play it on the flute. And so this is where we're going to go now, is down to the last 2 on this. Here we one. Okay, so this is what we're going to learn today. Seigan Mun. This is the 4 Buddhist vows. Now, usually Bill chants these at the end, and I hope he does it again. So the 4 vows can be recited as he does, and when he recites the 3 times he does English, then Japanese and English, we're going to do the Japanese part here. Now you can recite it, or I played it earlier today at the beginning before the meditation, and did about a 2-minute version of just the Shakahachi playing it. But when we chant it and alternate it with the Shakahachi, it might take about 3 minutes. I've also found this on YouTube, and there's a Russian couple, a man and a woman, who do it very slowly, and it takes almost 8 minutes. And so it could be done that way. So I want to say the 4 vows can be recited. They could be chanted in a number of different lengths. As Kenko knows, they can be done in sign language. And I would like to see somebody do the 4 vows by dancing it, perhaps. So that, like Rumi said, let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. So there are hundreds of ways to chant our vows. So I'm going to play it here, and I'm going to sing it first, and then I'm going to play it. And instead of doing every breath, now you can see I'm starting at the top, and it's in low octave. This little Z means Otsu, and there's Surei, our friend again. Surei Chi, and with no popping. So the first breath goes like this. Surei Chi, repeat. But I'm not going to sing the name of the notes. I'm going to sing Shujo. The sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. So I'll sing Shujo. The next breath down. Muhen. Then we move to the second line. Say. Next breath. And then the middle of the third line is finally do. I failed to mention at the very bottom on the right side is the temple this comes from. This is Meanji Shinpo Ryu. This is the Shakahachi temple this piece comes from. And it's very rare that these words, Shujo, Muhen, Seigan, Do, are written on the Shakahachi music. So I was intrigued when I found it, and with Bill's help, we've kind of unpacked this a little bit. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to sing it, the first line all the way to Do, which is the 3 lines. The first line of the chant, sentient beings are numberless, I vow to save them, are Shujo, Muhen, Seigan, Do. So I'm going to sing it and then play it. Shujo, Muhen, Seigan, Do. Then the next line is Bono Mu. Let's move down to the next line. There we go. Ujin Seigan Dan. So that's the obviously the next line, which is desires are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. Bono Mujin Seigan Dan. And the third line of our chant is Homon Muryo Seigan Gaku. The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. Homon Muryo Seigan Gaku. And now we're on the last two lines. Butsudo Mujo Seigan Jo. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to attain it. Butsu Udo Mujo Seigan Jo. All right. So now we're ready to rip on this, right? With everybody singing muted, we're going to be able to do this. I'm going to have to ask Monica to follow along and change the page there. So you can either recite it, sing along if you want, or just let it wash over you. The whole idea that I'm trying to convey today is when we chant this at the end of our services live, or when you hear Bill chanting today at the end, you might have more appreciation for that there's much more to the chant than just saying the words. So let's try singing this together. We're going to do one line in this. When I say one line of the chant, Shujo Muhen Seigan Do. We're going to do that together, and then I'll play the. Well, I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to play the Shakahachi first, and then we'll go back and sing it. So here we go. Shujo Muhen Seigan Do. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. I'll just stop there. Bono Mu Jin Seigan Dan. Desires are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. Ho mo muryo seiga gaku. And the last verse. Utsu do mujo seiganjo. Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to attain it. All right, that was great. Everybody was singing in tune. I heard everything. There's got to be some questions now. That's the end of the presentation. So any questions about anything?
Well, Bob, thank you. I don't know if I have questions, but I just love to see the notes. I mean, it's such a work of art. And to hear you talk about the notes and the characters, I just love it.
Well, thank
It
you.
really,
Yeah.
it's really helpful to go over it and to hear and to see the vows, it like kind of resonate, resonating in the body again. It's wonderful. I
Yeah,
didn't. The only
that's the whole
missing,
idea, is resonate
yeah,
in the body.
the only thing I missed is not seeing you play it, but I don't know if that's that important. But it would be nice, just because we can't see the whole flute when you are playing. But it was instead, I remember when you were thinking about your teaching. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it's complete. But so we got to see the music and read it, and it was really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, when we learn these pieces, what I like to call it is learn by heart. When we say memorize,
Mm.
it's that's almost a brain function. When you learn something by heart, when you make this vow and you're singing it with your whole body, it's a whole different feeling. And that's what I want to convey here. And that's why I encourage people, these four vows are easy enough. We always bring up our chant books and read it. It's like, you don't need to read it. It's short enough. We could memorize this. And I said it again, memorize. We could learn it by heart. And once we know it by heart, when we're singing it and singing it in Japanese, or not even singing, just reciting it in Japanese, it makes it so much more fulfilling and so much more body centered. I do want to try one more thing though, since I think we got some time. For those of you who are sopranos saying, Bob, that was really nice on your long flute in the key of A down in your tenor key, but us sopranos need a little help. So I'm going to play it again on the short flute. Look, I don't know if you could see the difference. This is the key of A, the long one. This is the key of D. And that's what the Shakuhachi is named after. Shaku means 1 foot, and Hachi means 8. So Shakuhachi means 1.8 feet long, and that's the length of the key of D, D minor pentatonic. And so every flute has a different name, like a 2-foot long flute would be called Ni Shaku, and the 2.4 has a name, but they've all come to be known as Shakahachi generically. So if we can bring up the chant again, and we're going to do it in a higher key for the sopranos. All right. That's the first page, please. There we go. And I'm not going to say the English this time. I'm going to chant it in Japanese and then play it on the flute. And then after you see the fourth line move, just move on to the next page. Okay. Seigan mo shujo muhen seigan do. Boro mu eiji seigandon. Ho mo muryo seigan gaku. Butsu do mujo seiganjo. All right. So, this has a very simple melody, only 3 or 4 notes. It's kind of like the refuges in Pali. It's like keep it simple. Don't have too much going on. And I think, when we come together live, we can try this again.
Excuse me, Bob. This has been absolutely marvelous. Thank you so much. Joe has had his digital hand up for a while. So first of all, before I say more, I'd just like to invite Joe to ask his question. Joe?
Thank you, Joel.
Sure.
So I was thinking about what was mentioned about embodiment, and it brought me back to last Sunday when Oxbow Zen
had its first in-person sit, and we did a service. And one of the comments I heard was how wonderful that felt to actually embody the chanting and the movement as we were doing this. Another thing that struck me, though, was the simplicity of the lines, and how, for me, it helps facilitate like how long you hold something and cutoff points and whatnot. And going back to the embodiment part, it reminded me of the little bit I know of the language of Sanskrit, and how each character is meant to represent how the breath moves through the mouth as you create the sound. And I was wondering if you would comment on that, Bob.
Well, thank you, Joey. Yeah, I think it's very important that we chant out loud. Sometimes at the Zendo or even online, I see people aren't chanting out loud, but it's my understanding there's 80 some acupuncture points in the mouth. And when you chant out loud, you're activating all those points that are, reaching, as I said before, the whole idea of this is realizing the way through hearing the sound or making the sound and reaching enlightenment. And chanting out loud is so important, because you have to, if you're just mentally doing it or not making the sound but just lipping it, you're not creating the what should I say, the secrets of the Sanskrit. These sounds are sacred sounds, and they have power behind them. So we have to do it out loud and embody it in your body. Once you do that, it's a whole another game. Thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you.
Bob, I'm wondering, are there spaces in which you prefer to, like, that you feel like you're performing this or playing your instrument in a way that really sounds extra special good? Do you know what I mean? Does it matter where you're playing?
Yesterday morning I played from 9 to 11 at Lotus Land. I was sitting up on the pavilion and I played this song like 10 times in a row. And I was floating above my cushion, if you could have measured that. But it was sometimes, people don't come by for a long time there. And it was a little bit of drizzle and it was just spectacular. But it's like when I get out, I call it get out of your own way. For me to get out of my mind. See, if I'm reading the music, then I'm looking at it with my eye, which goes up to my brain and then connects with my heart. But if I have it learned by heart, I can close my eyes and play from my body. And so that's why I think, and then playing, it's called the ma, the space between the notes is called the ma. And that's where John Cage comes in and all these people that leave so much room. I mean, sometimes at the Zendo, Pamela or I would be playing Kyo-rei, and I say, leave so much room between the notes so that the people might open their eyes and look over and say, has the flute player left the room? Because it's in the silence between the notes that we can find peace in our hearts. And that peace then we can take to our families, to our neighbors, to our community, and bring peace to the world one at a time.
Thank you.
Can I jump in? Or Joel, did you have something to say?
Well, go ahead. I was just going to say you had your hand up.
Yeah. Take that down. I just kind of want to echo what everybody's saying, but it really, I'm very grateful for you bringing this forward, and it's beautiful on so many levels. I really like the visual aspect of it, the beauty of the notes and the calligraphy, and pairing that with the sound of the flute and the sound of our voices when we can be together, your voice when we hear it. Um, and I always think of chanting as an embodied practice because of just what you were saying, the kind of bringing it into our, making the sound. But this seemed to take it to a new level. It's not just when we're kind of, at least my experience of chanting in the kind of traditional way where it's an embodied breath and interaction, but this is a deeper expression, or maybe not a deeper, but a broadening of the possibility of expression and making it alive in the present moment in a different way than when we're just doing it by rote, the same way every time. It seems that this is, there's a container for it, obviously, that's presented, but there seems to be a lot of, you're talking about dance. It feels like kind of dancing with the music in that there's some leeway of expression that comes through in the moment. Like you were talking, I'm envisioning you at Lotus Land, and I'm imagining that had the weather been different, you would have embodied it differently, or had there been different conditions, the expression would have changed based on. So there seems to be kind of this present moment aliveness that comes through with this ability to engage with the chanting and the music in a different way.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because sometimes I teach world music at Westmont or UCSB, City College, and I tell the music majors, like that piece that we just did had the Seigan Mun had a little bit of a melody to it, but the first piece I did, Shoshi, has no melody. So I tell the students, Shakahachi music has no melody, no harmony, and no rhythm. Now I got them because they're really confusing. What the heck's left? And I say dynamics, pitch, and absolute timing. And they go, what the hell's that? And I go, well, absolute timing is it's right this time, and tomorrow it's wrong. And so I used to, back in the 70s, from the 70s to the 90s, we used to do lessons with cassette tapes, and we would tape our teacher playing it live, and then you take it home and you try to match it. So I'd come back in a month and I'd play it exactly like the tape, and he goes, that's all wrong. And I go, but that's exactly what the tape, that's what you did last month. And he goes, that was Zen, this is Tao. It's like, it's wrong because it's not right for this time. So that's how I learned. I'll take a few more questions, but before we go, I was thinking of this. I should just play for an hour and not talk at all, but we can do that when we're live. What you're hearing is how good my microphone of my computer is, which is not real good, and how good the speakers are on your computer. And you're not hearing the overtones and all the really fine points of the flute, the whispering and the popping of the notes. So we'll get to that, but I do want to play a piece called Tamuke, which is about a 4-minute piece, and then we can end with that. And if Bill would then chant the 4 vows at regular speed, and we can go from there.
Does anybody else have some comments or questions before Bob goes into the music piece?
I would just say quickly one thing. First of all, it's absolutely incredible. and I'd love to sit down with you for hours and talk about all of this. I just have one sort of technical question, which is the third notation you showed looked just like Gregorian chant notation. And I
Right.
was wondering if there had been some influence or of, I don't know, Catholic monks who were in Japan at some point.
I only know what I got from that one uh, workshop that I did on the chanting, and he gave us all three parts, and we didn't really get into that last one, the sound
Yeah.
shaping.
Yeah,
But
just curious. Yeah.
yeah, they're all a mystery to me.
Yeah. Well, mystery is great. Thanks. I mean, as I said, I'd love to talk to you about this for hours. It was absolutely fantastic.
We will.
Great, great. Um, Now, okay, so do you want about
Well,
any?
there's some other question. I think Tim had something.
Yeah, I just had
Go
a
ahead.
follow-up question to Joel. Was that you said that it's well, the somatic aspects of it, and it's traced to the Sanskrit. The Sanskrit, what little I know about it, is quite ancient. You know, like pre-language. I mean, it goes way back. So the connection of the sounds, I don't know, it went right through me, and it put me in a place that was I don't know, pre-language. Like I don't really even know how to talk about it. But thanks.
Anyone else?
All right. So here. Oh, there's my phone going off. There we go. This piece is called Tamuke, and Tamuke is literally translated as hands folded in prayer. So this is a 13th century requiem piece. And it's been played for decades, for centuries. And it's like I said, literally translated as hands folded in prayer. So what I'm going to ask, this is an interactive piece. I'm going to ask each of you to put your hands in a prayer and think, hold in your heart someone who is near and close to you who has passed away, either recently or in the far past. Someone close to you, and hold this, and I'm going to play that for them. So we're going to go into this 4-minute piece called Tamuke. Thank you for coming today. So, Joel, it's back to you for announcements and closing ceremony.
Joel, you're still muted.
Okay.
There we go.
Hi. Okay. The usual thing would be, I think, we do the dedication of merit, and then we chant the four vows with Bill leading us, and then we'd have announcements. And I'm not sure that I know what the announcements would be, except Wednesday and Saturday programs. So let's do the dedication and the vows, and then we'll all pipe in with what we know. Okay, so the dedication.
Joel, you might want to end the recording.
Yeah, we've had discussions about that. I'm not sure I know how to do that.
So you
But
go
maybe-
back into where you pushed record and just push stop record.
Ah,